Superheat 2 is coming up next for Senior X30.
In a close battle for the win in this year's series with Marcus Lusio. And it's fair to say that so far, Danny Carinini and the Zanchi Motorsport have been having the upper hand against Lusio and the rest of the field. The drivers making their way onto the track. Here's a look at the grid. Pole position for this one for Fiat McCaughlin, Danny Carinini by his side, Austin Gale and Ruben Moya on row number 2, Alex Machado and David Dragan, row number 3, followed by Enki Calteren and Hugo Erwin, Christian Biasati and Sam van der Reyden, row number 5, row number 6, Matteo Zanchi and Carl Clark, row number 7, Otto Pikkonen and Phil Strange. Then we have Adam Rahali and Marius Barberg on row number 8, row number 9, we'll see Mathis Barbe and Engberg Jr. Then we have Luca Auton, row number 10, and Philip Jensen by his side just before row 11.
Row number 12 sees George Nassar and Morgan Knudsen. Then it's Fred Green and Torben Grundal on row 13. His nickname, the German guy. Then it's Alexander Rutter with Clovis Nougarade on row 14. Then it's Annabelle Bryan and Clement Outquan on row 15. Robbie Buckley and Hamza Al-Fayez round out row 16 ahead of Luke Taylor and Natalia Granada on row 17. Then it's Angelo Mello and Christian Vigani who round out the 36-car field in this race. Drivers making their way out onto the circuit, getting everything set up ready for this race. And a look at potentially what is going to be happening. And it looks like no one has used any tyres. So everyone has no one's deployed them. I think everyone has just saved them for later on, but of course they do get that brand new set for the final anyway. So action is starting to get a little bit interesting here for the drivers. And for Finn McLaughlin, this is going to be an important one here right now. Ruben Moya as well in this one is starting just behind him. We saw everything that happened yesterday. We're on board with David Dragan. Dragan, who's been a really impressive driver over the course of this weekend. 3 qualifying heat wins. Did have a 31st place after a retirement. But yes, no problems for him. He's had some really strong runnings in this one. Drivers make their way through the red line. Flags go down. Nicely done. And the grid gets ready to go for this one. This is a momentous moment then. We're going to be finding out who's going to be starting where for that final later on today. McLaughlin and Carinini on the front row of this grid as the lights go green. We are racing down in towards turn number 1. It's a good start for McLaughlin, holding on to the lead of this one. Austin Gale on the inside there, just getting squeezed. Now it's 3 wide as they go through turn number 2. He was the meat in a cart sandwich there, was Gale, but amazingly he's still in this race. Moya down the inside goes wheel to wheel with Carinini trying to get past, but Carinini slams the door closed and denies Moya the chance of getting past.
And interestingly enough, it was the outside line of the grid that was the fastest coming to turn number 1 and 2, with both Carinini and Ruben Moya getting ahead of Austin Gale. Pierre McCaughlin, though, was having none of it and kept his position alive on pole. Still P1 at the end of this opening lap. Some of the drivers trying to find better racing now. The 241 is well in a bit of tussles further back. Gonna have a close look at the gaps as they come across. As Ruben Moya finds himself in P2, chasing Fionn McCaughlin with Danny Carinini just behind. Alex Machado, Hugo Erwin down in P5. Austin Gale all the way down from P3 to P6. From Sam van der Reyden, Dragan Calteren and Christian Biasati has already the move for the lead. Ruben Moya, and a little bit of a squeeze. Danny Carinini is furious on Alex Machado, and you saw his gesture from the Italian. Machado went for the dive, as so did Ruben Moya, so double change in the same corner. Ruben Moya is leading on lap number 2. Machado is getting ahead of Danny Carinini, and the Italian certainly didn't see that coming. We would say certainly afterwards that the move was a little bit aggressive, but that's part of racing. Don't see anything wrong with that. Machado up into P3. Hugo Erwin, who is on charge for redemption after a couple of difficult qualifying races yesterday for Hugo Erwin. So we'll see what the Alonso car driver will be able to do into that superheat number 2. Remember, this will be the last one of the superheats of the morning. We're going to have the consolation race just after this one. As we get on board, David Dragan from Zanchi Motorsport, who is starting P6, P9 currently, trying to chase Enki Calteren. David Dragan, who is being coached by the famous legendary Davide Forre from Zenki Motorsport. Second driver being coached by Forre this weekend, as he's trying to make his bid around the inside. Henki Kalteren does get ahead of the driver Sam van der Eyden, but Dragan is going to have to wait a little bit more.
Well, at this point of the race, we'll look at the points. But again, look at that huge send down the inside through turn 11 for David Dragan. Absolutely committed there through the corner. And that's a really tricky place to get an overtake done. Right, back here at the front, Moya from McLaughlin. Machado there in third place. Again, no one deploying fresh tyres in this one. I believe everyone has used their tyres in this one. A look at the classification in the point standings. Now, no one can beat Vilma Svan. With that result earlier on, Vilma Svan stays in the lead and will start on pole and will have the 10 championship points. McLaughlin right now in P2 is in a good spot still. Is still up into second place with 15 points. Is ahead of Elo Gonzalez despite Gonzalez's win earlier on. This result here for McLaughlin will still help him out and push him up in the order. There you can see it on your screens. Danny Carinini currently fourth. He is up, and any more positions he can gain will help him out here to start on the inside of row number 1, right behind Vilma Svan for the final later on. But again, that's going to be a tough one here. Machado down the inside will change the order once again and will move up into second place. Hugo Ron got past Danny Carinini just in the background as well. So just as McLaughlin loses one, Carinini loses one as well. Gale sets the fastest lap of the race. He's currently in P6. And the next one to go for the attack on Danny Carinini, which just in the background there, he does get done. So Austin Gale now up into P5.
And that's not good news for Fionn McLaughlin, as he has 2 points to try to climb. That means 2 positions if he wants to start the final from pole position, as currently Vilma Svan, who made it to P3 in the super hit just before, is back in the provisional lead. It all comes down to Fionn McLaughlin being able to catch up with Machado and try to get ahead of Ruben Moya, which will be no easy task at all. As we're going to keep a close watch on the battle for the lead, as for the battle between those three, Hugo Orewan, Austin Gale, Danny Carinini, as some of those drivers for the back, Henki Kalteren. Got a bit of a chat with the Dutch driver from RSD in the paddock, telling me that he hasn't been able to find the right setup and early during the weekend. A track, Henki Kalteren, he hasn't been competing here that much. He didn't know the track that well. Only got here during the middle of the week to get some practice, but there wasn't much practice sessions for Henki Kalteren. So that's why he had to find his pace through the races and improve step by step. The pace has been certainly on the rise for Henki Kalteren. Has run inside. That's the first move for Fionn McLaughlin on a charge to maybe grab pole position for the final this afternoon. 1 position up. The Irish driver with the fastest lap in the race. Get ahead of Alex Machado from TB Card. Let's see what the driver from Romania will be able to do. Is getting still very close, staying within the shadow of Fionn McLaughlin to try to give him the position back. And in the meantime, those two needs to work together just a tiny bit if I were there, because a half of a second is already the gap built by Ruben Moya in the meantime, as we're about to get past halfway through this super heat number 2. Ruben Moya is leading the way. Fionn McLaughlin, as they come across top, 0.4 of a second. Nothing is done yet into the super heat. Nothing is done yet. Machado staying firmly but calmly behind Fionn McLaughlin as for now. Those two trying to get close. That's going to give us a 3-driver battle of the best kind, as Austin Gale, Erwa and Carinini still running in close formation just behind.
Daniel Ginchard now setting the fastest lap of the race, 50.270. Currently sits in 11th place after gaining 11 positions in this race. Again, the British driver who has not been part of the IAME Euro Series, but certainly has been having a strong performance here this weekend. Not right at the sharp end, but right there, I think, where he needs to be. But we'll keep an eye on the progress of the young driver. Right, Moya leads the way still. McLaughlin has closed in. cast your mind back, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching the broadcast. Yesterday, we've seen these two going wheel to wheel, and McLaughlin gets it done through turn 2. Doesn't waste any time, but Moya's going to fight back instantly, but the door is slammed closed by McLaughlin, and Machado is back into play now. 1, 2, 3 for the race lead, and with that position change, McLaughlin now leads the intermediate classifications. Now Machado goes through, and Machado gets up into second place. That will not benefit Ruben Moya at all, because Moya now drops to 8th in the intermediate classifications. That will drop him down even more now. So McLaughlin now leads the intermediate classifications, and he is looking to start on pole for the final. He is looking forward to taking those 10 championship points, but there is still laps to go in this race, and Machado is right there with Moya in tow.
Yeah, it's going to be very tense coming to the checkered flag in a few laps. Let's see that again, shall we? That's radio as well from the race control.
Can I have a warning 225 post 9, 225 warning flag post 9, and the change of the leaders was clean, no further action.
Well, there we go. So a warning flag for 225, and that has just come out on the screen a few moments ago. So that was a big moment there in that race. The change of the lead was fine, no drama there. But for the rest of them, that is just not what they wanted to see at all. This was Moya down the inside of Machado earlier on, and he gets back up into second place. And again, I think they're just going to say, right, okay, let's work together. Let's see if we can close up to McLaughlin. Because that would be interesting if they could, because, well, the gap's 0.4 of a second. We've just seen McLaughlin able to do it. Can Moya return the favour? That is the ultimate question, but time is very quickly running out. The drivers behind are all very quick as well. Gale there, Buchanan's just set the fastest lap of the race as well. He's currently 14th. He's got Grundle just there in 13th place as well. Marius Barryberg in 12th. And they've got Dan Ginchard. So that mid-pack group there, 11, 12, 15 and all of that, they're rapid at the moment. They're going really quick through the field. That could have consequences for some of the other drivers out there. Gap down to 0.3 of a second. Moya's digging deep here as he tries to close in. Machado is providing a little bit of a toe and a bump draft, potentially, but is not at the moment attacking Moya.
He might actually want to wait until the last lap. Machado going around inside. There he goes with a move. It did happen. Beautifully made with the support of some of his mechanics and teammates as well from the side. We do have his co-team manager, Eli Goldstein, close to our position as well. The former winner of the IAME Euro Series. Now at the head of the TB card, supporting his driver. And he's doing a mega job at the moment. Alex Machado pushing Ruben Moya back into P3. But despite it, there's still some resources and skills to try to switch those positions again. And those two actually see Austin Gale getting closer and closer by the lap. Hugo Merouin lost a bit of momentum as well, but he's still very much in P5. Lap number 13. We're getting very near to the conclusion of that superheat number 2. 0.6 of a second, while Machado and Moya were having a strong explanation. Well, Fiona McLaughlin has hardly been expecting to double the gap. Now with 0.6. Will it be enough for the VDK driver to see it through to the checkered flag and take pole position and the championship points? We're getting near the conclusion, and some certainly answers to that question for Fiona McLaughlin, as it was an interesting battle as well further back between Austin Gale and Danny Caronini, because they are currently on equal points, 23 each, at the advantage of Caronini sitting in P6. There's still 0.3 of a second advantage on Enki Calterin, so actually Danny Caronini, the championship leader, second to the championship, sorry, but the pole sitter of this event, needs to stay where he is and not to let Enki Calterin get ahead. Calterin losing places to Biazatin Clark, as I say that. But if he stays P6 Caronini, he will be ahead of Gale from P4 on the grid of the final.
Dragan having a fantastic battle here with Enki Calterin just in front as they go through. Absolute wheel-to-wheel battle happening here for P9. Cal Clark is just ahead of them, but he's in no worry as we are on the final lap of this race. McLaughlin, who leads the way right now. Yesterday was a dramatic and tense end to the day where where he thought it all fell apart for him, but it didn't. McLaughlin right now is back on the top spot, leads the intermediate classifications, and will take the 10 championship points and pole position for that final. Later on today, it is the Irishman, Finn McLaughlin, right where he wants to be, ahead of Vilma Svan and Eloy Gonzalez in the intermediate classifications. Danny Carinini will start P4 for the final later on today, ahead of Austin Gale and Elia Weiss. Remember that Danny Carinini is in a championship fight with Marcus Luzio. Luzio's not had the best weekend, and Danny Carinini starts P4. That is the ultimate test. The championship lead will change at the end of today. But Finn McLaughlin right now is looking to see if he can come away with a final win at the end of the round here in Germany. It's McLaughlin from Machado, Moya from Gale, Carinini from Heron, Biasati from Clark, Dragan finishing ahead of Eike Kalterin, Dan Ginchard finishing in P11 ahead of Marius Barryberg. Then it's Serban Grondal in 13th place ahead of Otto Pukkanen and Adam Rahali. Luca Horton from Phil Srenger